Before treating your hemlocks, site preparation is the necessary first step. And that means measuring your trees, the diameter of them, and marking them so that when you're treating, you've got a seamless effort. You don't have to stop and measure your trees. They're already marked and measured. I'm Donna Crossland. I'm an ecologist in the Wabanagi Acadian Forest in Nova Scotia, and I'm going to review today how you prepare your site for treatment to conserve your hemlocks. There are two key advantages for marking your trees ahead of time. One is that you'll know how many centimeters of tree diameter you have, so that you'll be able to determine how much product you will need. And also, if you're hiring a pesticide operator, they'll be able to know, they'll be able to give you a better estimate on the cost. Preparing the site for treatment may take equal or greater the amount of time that it does to actually treat the trees. So this can save you a lot of money if you're paying someone else to come in and treat your trees. Before you start, you're going to need to purchase a diameter tape or take a seamstress tape, something that you can measure your tree. But if you take a regular measuring tape, you're measuring the circumference, the distance around the tree. With this special diameter tape that you get from a forest supplier store, it actually does the math for you, and it'll measure the diameter, meaning across the width of the trunk of the tree. And so you'll need a diameter tape, you'll need flagging tape, and you'll need a Sharpie marker. It's something that's permanent ink, so a permanent Sharpie marker. And you'll also need a little tally book, because you'll want to track how many centimeters that you've marked, because there are limits, remember, to using Zytect, and you can only mark approximately 1,638 centimeters per hectare that's on the label. There's also two other things you need to do before you start measuring and marking your trees, and that's defining the boundaries of your plot. First, if you have water running through your plot or standing pools of water, you'll probably need to mark those with a 7-meter buffer where you'll just inject those trees. So you may want to use a different colored flagging tape. I've brought blue for my riparian buffers along water courses and orange for everything else inland. We have hectare limits on the chemicals we use for basil bark spray. So the best thing to do is define what a hectare is on your plot, remembering that a hectare is typically 100 meters by 100 meters, so 10,000 meters squared. There's a number of different apps that you can use. You can see maps of your property, but you can also run rope through your plot, or you can buy some of these pigtails and mark the edge of your plot that way, or you can just use flagging tape and a different colored flagging tape maybe, and flag a line through your plot so you know where the edge of your hectare limit is. And for the particular mix that we're demonstrating in our video series, you won't be able to exceed 1,638 centimeters. Now for each tree, you don't forget, you're going to look up, you're going to make sure this tree is healthy enough to treat. And so you're going to check the canopy density, look for new growth. This ends up being a quick glance once you get used to doing this. You look up, you make sure it's healthy, it is. Now you're going to take your diameter tape and you're going to measure at 1.3 meters. It's called DBH, or diameter breast height. It's a forestry term, but roughly here, and you're going to go around the tree and measure the diameter, approximately 46.5. We'll just round it to 47 centimeters. So this is a 47 centimeter diameter hemlock. The next step is to take out some flagging tape and ribbon your tree off. And this is a little bigger round than my arm. If you have a partner, this is where a partner can help. And right on the tree, the centimeters. And you really don't have to mark more than just the number at this point. And that's it. And then you move on. But before you do, you're going to have to think about whether or not you want to tag your trees. Using basil bark sprays, we may we can't treat the whole stand if you've got a fairly pure stand of hemlock, so you're going to have a partial treatment. You're going to need to know which trees you treated, because you may want to come back the next year and treat another round of trees. You have a couple of choices. One, you can just use some tree marking paint, and you can just give the tree a little dollop, an ample dollop of paint. And you also, though, want to make sure that you mark on a consistent side of the tree, because when you come back, it's nice to be able to look at the viewscape and know all that you'd be able to see most of the trees that you marked. So the other option, if you'd prefer not to spray mark your trees, even though the advantage of spray marking is that it's cheap, it's fast, and you only want your marking to really be temporary, you're hoping that in the long-term solution there's going to be a biocontrol program that's successful. So chemically treating your trees is just a short-term interim thing. But you can use nails, preferably an aluminum nail, something that's quite inert, isn't going to rust, and a little foil tag. You can write on the treatment year, 2023, just add a 2-3. Some people prefer the tree base, although it's harder to find the trees that you've marked that way. Other people will prefer to put it up in a more visible site, so that when they're looking at their treescape, they'll be able to see all the trees that were treated this year. So they just give it a little, and then just give the nail a little tap, but leave it sticking out some. It's in there firm enough that it's not going to come out, but you also have to leave growing space for the trees, so you don't want it in there too flush with the bark. So your next step is to record your tally in your notebook. 47. And you've just marked your first tree, and you're ready to move on to the next one. Let's say you don't have a lot of flagging tape, or you're afraid it's going to get torn down. You can just take a small strip and a thumbtack, and then take your permanent marker and write the diameter on the ribbon like this. And again, trying to put these in a consistent direction so that you'll be able to see them when you're coming in with your backpack sprayer. You'll know which trees you've marked for treatment. You don't really have to purchase a tool belt or a vest, but it is handy to have enough pockets that you're putting your flagging tape and your diameter tape and your markers and your pencils and your notebook, and keeping it all straight as you go along and you get in the rhythm of tree marking.